A lot of people watching this are also from the IT world, mostly the IT service companies or IT product companies. So what is your mantra for them with respect to how they can survive in the long run? Because a lot of people have this in their mind, and I ask this question to a lot of people because a lot of
Hmm.
people have this question, that how do we survive in the long run? Is there a method to the madness that even in my 40s I will be relevant and I'll be able to sustain? Okay, so is
Yeah.
there any thought around that, Pawan?
Yeah. So I want to give a more analytical answer around it. Since I'm a consultant, I go by the numbers a lot. So I was reading a report by World Economic Forum recently, which said 69 million jobs would be added into the formal sector by 2030, and 83 million jobs would be taken out by 2030. So there's a net deficit of 14 million jobs.
Hmm, hmm, hmm.
And if an IT services employee doesn't want to be in that 14 million deficit, but rather wants to be in the 69 million input into the economy, I believe there are two ways. Number one is either understand what's happening in the existing space or what's going to come up new. My push would always be see what's going to come up new, because the number of jobs are increasing, but the number of people are very limited. Right? Emerging spaces like whether it is AI or whether it is sustainability tech, just like how everybody is thinking about digitization now, right? Look at what TCS, Infosys speak in their quarterly results. They keep talking about digitization, cloud transitions, and all that stuff, right? I believe when I read through a lot of these things, it is very clear that in 10 years from now, people will talk about sustainable development, sustainable tech, the same way like we are talking about. So if you are keen to survive, I believe that being a part of that sustainability curve is very, very important. That now within the existing space, if that's not the case, then within this existing jobs, it is going to be AI, right? No questions about that. Like now, all my doubts are already cleared by all the readings that I've done. So AI is going to be the no questions around that. Or the other thing that I'm learning, you should tell me if it is true or not, is when I observe a lot of hiring patterns, it is not just about whether somebody knows Java or whether somebody knows JavaScript or React or some other language or tool or skill set, but I am seeing more and more people who are working at intersection of multiple things are actually preferred a lot more. Like you need to have a combination of skills. Like you know AWS very well along with React, or you know something, two technologies together. So even if you have one primary technology, somebody, if they try to gain another secondary technology slowly, it might become your fallback option, or actually that might fetch you a lot more money. That's what I'm observing. Would you agree?
Absolutely. I think you've got a very important point here. And I also believe that I'll give another flavor to it, that let's say if I'm a general project manager, then I can be replaced anytime, right? But
Correct.
if I'm a technical project manager, it becomes a little difficult to replace me because I'm technical as well as a project manager. Or
Correct.
if I'm a functional project manager, then I know the domain and I'm a project manager, right? So I think what you're saying is absolutely right. If you know the best of the two worlds, and if you're able to find an intersection point, then that's your unique value proposition, right? Then people will think twice before they touch you than anybody who is vanilla, right? So I think
Correct.
great point there. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So yeah, that's it. That's from my end, Anand.
One last question that I have for you is, because, like what you said in the introduction itself, that you lost your job and then you switched multiple roles or industries. I want to come back to that point, and I want you to leave our audience with few do's and don'ts. Okay, few things you've already covered. Some of them are really solid points, but some actionables that, okay, do these three things or don't do these three things, and you will benefit in the long run. Something of that sort, some tips that you want to leave us with.
I am not a very tips person, Anand, but but I'll try. See, one thing I'm saying this in the context of 99%, right? So let me clarify once again that this session is going to be heard or seen by people who are definitely in that 1999. So for most of us, you me included, we have to work really really hard. That is lesson number one, or tip number one, or advice number one that I give all the time, and whenever some, including to my children as well, is that please work extremely hard. You if you are not falling to your bed at 10 p.m. or whatever time and going to sleep in 1 minute, you have not used your day properly. And this is the age, if you're 20, 25, 30, and you are just not falling, crashing on bed and going to sleep in 1 minute, you have wasted your day. This time will not come back. Many other things will come back, but this time will not come back. So please work very, very hard is some advice I give. And I don't care whether it is a hard work, smart work, all these are book selling tips. And, so somebody will invent some smart work acronym and people will put up a poster and not do anything about it, as if that poster is now going to work hard. Poster is never going to work hard. we still have to work hard. So,
Yeah.
so tip number 1, work hard. Tip 2, be intentional about your career. So your career is your responsibility. It has always been throughout history. Nobody else, including your company, government, society, United Nations, nobody is interested in your individual's career. They might be interested in a particular career as a on mass, right? So as a category. But Anand Vaishnapai and Anshuman Tiwari are not on United Nations radar for career longevity. So only we are. So that intentional nature, think about your career, take some time off, keep your phone away, go for a long walk, talk to people, get some mentors, coaches, listen to Anand's podcast and or other similar ones where you will get some views on what you might be doing. Because when you're isolated, I keep saying this, that we and for most of us, only our grandmother and mother is interested in our looks. Nobody else cares. Same is for our career and skills.
Yeah.
So we overthink all of this. We have to be invested in our own career. So unless we do this intentional thinking, kuch nahi hoga. So intentional thinking, I shared 1 or 2 formats. One framework was that think of 3 boxes, invest, protect the past, milk the current one, or at least try and invest in the future. So what are your 3 boxes? So all those listening people, you draw out your 3 boxes. See what are your 3 boxes. So that would be the second one. And a derivative, of course, the third one is that keep talking to people, coaches and all, and listen to all this, learn something new, which is the second and third box, and be a little bit more open also. Now, another framework is of career transitions also, Anand, and you will know this very well. But since you mentioned that when I had that career accident, I was actually able to find something within 1 month. And that happened because I already had a broader network. I had invested in that network. So when that unfortunate situation arose, I was able to quickly leverage it to some extent and remain grateful for that. So I avoided that accident to actually hurt me. But most people look for networking opportunities or skill sets when that letter already lands in their inbox. That is stupidity. Your house is already down and you are running for a bucket and water, which is then never going to be.
Yeah.
So the old saying is quite adequate here. Third one I would say is invest in your network a little bit. I'm not saying become heavily active on LinkedIn or become a top voice, but do something. Do you have 10 people you can reach out to in times of stress? 10, just 10. No need for 20,000 connections, 40,000, 100,000 followers. 10 people. Can we list 10 people? 5 people. So that is my message to youngsters, that, have 5, 10 people, real people whom you can call and take some input and advice from. Not your 20,000 on LinkedIn and 55,000 on Instagram and, 1 million on YouTube or whatever. I mean,
Correct.
Those are atmospheric conditions. So when you need oxygen in hospital, you don't pray for the atmosphere to give you oxygen. You need that oxygen, right? So where is your oxygen mask? So those are those 5, 10 people. So these 3 areas I would think strongly urge youngsters, younger than me. I'm also a youngster, but younger than me, to adopt. So yeah, that's about it.
Awesome. I think great inputs, Anshuman. It was really a very insightful discussion, some pearls of wisdom for everybody who is listening to this. If you guys have further questions, feel free to make comments. I'll request Anshuman to read the comments once in a while and respond to them. I'll try to do as well. But thank you for taking time, Anshuman, once again.
My pleasure, and all the best to your audience and you as well, Anand.
Good. Thank you, Anshuman. Thanks. Bye. See you. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.